Hey guys, for my research project, I'm going to be talking about international film sales companies and some of the markets that they sell into. So, studio films really have no need for international film sales companies. It's independent films that do. Sales companies partner with filmmakers or producers at different stages of development, or sometimes after a film is complete to help pair them or help them find distribution companies. Um, this takes place in different territories and across a range of mediums. So, whether it's being exhibited in a theater or getting released in other ancillary markets. Um, so, say a producer needs financing for their film, right? They have a script or a treatment and they need the money to actually make it, right? So, sales companies basically work with them to help them get pre sales in different territories. So, they advise on the commercial merits of the script or the treatment, and then they help to lock in some pre sale deals. Um, so, when I say territories, what am I talking about? There's five big world territories, um, like North America, Europe, Southeast Asia. Um, and then those big five world territories get broken down into specific territories. And these are often countries or groupings of smaller countries. So here I have, just to kind of show you, like in Western Europe, you have the UK, France, Germany, Italy, Spain, and then some of those smaller European countries are kind of bundled together. And then this just helps with film licensing rights. And when I was talking about pre-sales, pre-sales is a pretty important concept for independent films. Um, Pre-sales is basically where a distributor will invest in a film that they think is going to do well in their specific territories. So film sales agents will present these films. They'll say, hey, we think it's going to kind of earn this much. How much are you willing to invest in this film up front? So that in return, you will have exclusive rights to, exhibit this film horizontally or vertically. So across different territories or across different mediums. So film sales companies ultimately they get independent producers money to make their films. That's kind of one of the biggest things that they do. So now I'll talk about specific activities within a film sales company. There's basically five different areas: acquisitions, sales, marketing, business affairs, and technical services. So the acquisition teams, right? Each sales company will have an acquisition team that tracks different projects, tracks different filmmakers, is always just looking for new films to sell, right? So they'll have tracking documents, which basically lists different projects or different things that filmmakers are working on. They'll also have a good relationship with working producers to try and just figure out what's out there, what they could possibly sell in the independent market. They write coverage on scripts or treatments that come through, and they make recommendations on the commercial merits or the commercial prospects of those scripts, possibly give advice on how to punch it up and make it more commercial, make it easier to sell. And sometimes they do screen completed films. So a producer will bring them a film that's already been completed. They'll watch it and see if they want to sell it to distributors. So within the sales department side of film sales companies, this department basically negotiates licenses with distributors for more one territories with more one films. So they negotiate the terms of commercial exploitation in one or more vertical media, right? And the way that these companies get paid is they receive a share of revenue from that upfront advance that's paid against the share. So when it comes to actually selling the films, selling a hot film or a film that has a lot of buzz is actually relatively simple and easy. They say that the difficult part is explaining to an unsuccessful distributor why they didn't win the film that time around while still kind of preserving relationships with that distributor. So it's very important for these companies to have a knowledge of territories as well as knowledge of distributors' plans, kind of what the distributor, what their slate's looking like and how they plan to roll out films. And then the sales department will form a set of estimates for each territory. So they'll take the film or a grouping of films and they'll basically use evidence from the past, like this sort of film, this sort of script with these sort of elements, with these actors, we predict, based on evidence from the past that it will make, and they'll have like spreadsheets and stuff. It'll make $300,000 in Spain. It'll make, X amount in the UK. It'll make X amount in North America. And they basically assemble what they call high and low figures, or ask and take numbers. So the ask numbers are kind of the most that they see it making in each territory, and then the take numbers are kind of the bottom number. And that bottom number is what distributors look at, it's what banks look at, it's what independent financiers look at. And that bottom number is how film sales companies basically have a good reputation, is how often they're able to deliver on those take numbers. So a strong result for most films is locking in 20 territories, right? So a lot of international independent films, they are really only able to get deals in their home country or in the surrounding countries, right? So it's very rare that an independent film will be able to kind of get a worldwide release, released across all the territories. So 20 is a really strong number. Then we have, thirdly, the marketing and publicity departments. So they're basically responsible for the image of each film in the company's slate, as well as bonding the company corporately. So they attend acquisition meetings. They read the scripts to try and add their input on as far as which films not only will be able to sell, but which ones will be able to be marketed easily. And then prior to production, they'll hire outside companies to come up with the concept poster or the teaser trailer, and they'll prepare information for the press, which is like websites or press kits. They'll ensure that the set photography and sort of the marketing that's going on during production meets the required standard for worldwide delivery. And then they help prepare for the different big markets, whether that's AFM or Berlin. And their major responsibilities there is like booking offices where the deal making is going to happen, making sure that all the tech equipment's there, hanging up posters, reserving screens for trailers, things like that. And then you have business affairs, which is the fourth category. This is a bunch of lawyers and things like that. They handle those contract negotiations, and they ensure that those standard terms and conditions are met in all the negotiations. The business affairs kind of acts like the glue between the producers and the distributors and anyone else that's sort of financially tied together, because financiers depend on the business affairs side to recoup their investments. So basically to get their money back plus interest. And there's a lot of like inter-party agreements that have to be sorted out, lots of acquisition agreements that happen, as well as all the licensing agreements. So business affairs departments will take care of all that. And then you have the technical and servicing, which is the fifth area. They normally hire out or outservice companies for this, but it's basically getting the physical materials necessary to exploit the film. So this is the film itself, the film and digital files, the video and the audio, foreign language tracks, or marketing elements within the actual exploitation itself. So this involves gathering it from productions, duplicating it, storing it, and shipping it. So it's all very physical. So now I'll kind of talk about the sales strategy behind these companies. So they want to build a slate of films, cement a brand, which is, make their companies like, we handle this sort of film well, that sort of thing. Attract distributors that they can regularly sell films to in, certain key territories. So there's different sorts of film sales companies. Some are going to be boutiques, which handle like 4 to 6 films a year. The majors are going to be like 20 to 25. Typically, film sales companies do about 10 to 15 a year. So there's advantages to both. Obviously, with boutiques, you're going to have more care and attention for your film because there's less of them. But the majors are going to have more leverage. They can sell multiple films at once, so they are able to kind of use that to negotiate sometimes better with distributors. Um, and yeah, so it's important for them to have good relationships to market themselves well, market the company well to producers and financiers, so that they're kind of trusted. They obviously want to be able to hit those ask and take numbers so that people can trust them. And overall, how you kind of measure a film sales company is doing its job is if they have helpful notes on scripts, if they're able to analyze it for its commercial merits well, if they're able to get you financing support, how well are they able to get you money for your film? Do they have good bank and distributor relationships? And do they have detailed knowledge territory by territory? So those are kind of the big things that they look at. And then as far as their marketing strategies go, so there's really two main tasks for the marketing department besides marketing the company itself. That's to market the film to distributors, number one, at different stages in the cycle. And number two, it's to gather marketing materials for distributors in case they decide to acquire it, so that the distributor kind of already has an idea of the concept. They kind of know how they're going to sell it, things like that. So developing concepts, creative tools, marketing materials, event management, anything that fits into the plan for rolling a film, worldwide. So these marketing departments, they're not working to market the film or films to an audience, to the public, but they always have that in mind. It's their goal to attract distributors and to make distributors understand how they will be able to market the film to an audience. So that's basically the main job. There's three big markets that these films go to: Berlin, American Film Market, and Cannes. Berlin and Cannes obviously have film festivals attached to them as well. The American Film Market does not. But these places are where producers, financiers, managers, talent agents, press, investors, distributors, whoever, they all meet to finance, promote, buy, and sell films, right? So buyers, to prep themselves, they're going to read a bunch of the scripts. They're going to know kind of what projects are out there that they're looking to help finance and get made. And over the last 20 years, a lot more of these markets have emerged beyond the big three. These ones are a lot more specialized, which is good. It's good they're out there. And then, of course, there's always festivals, which is helpful for discovering and launching new independent films. There's also competitive awards that help films get sold or get more money in financing. And sales companies help to kind of navigate these tricky festival waters as well. Why film sales companies are important? Studios are making less films and less films within kind of certain budgets. So it's important that there's companies out there that are helping to basically develop these films. Without film sales companies, producers would have a lot harder time getting in touch with distributors, and a lot less films would get made. There's actually a formal trade organization called the Independent Film Trade Association. These members produce about 500 films a year. Obviously, a lot of film sales go on outside of this, but through this big formal trade organization, 500 films a year, international films, it's a lot, and it's a good thing. So, thanks.